welcome to another episode of the Business of Coaching Workshop. I am joined today with a very special guest, none other than Zach Even-Esh. Zach has been I would say, pioneer in the strength and conditioning, especially in the online strength and conditioning world, not online coaching per se, but just you were kind of an early adopter of putting content out into the internet and sharing your underground strength philosophy and kind of hardcore training approach. From what I understand, started out in a combination of your backyard and your parents' basement.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And
I'm actually, when they say, "Oh, he's writing from his mom's basement," that was me, but like real shit, not a fraud. I've never thought of it that way, but now
you
I
were
think
the
about
OG
it.
mom's basement internet keyboard warrior.
Yes.
But it's been awesome to meet you finally in person
Yes.
last month at the Underground Strength Con, which you've been
Great.
running for 15 years almost.
Well, that was our third one,
Mm-hmm.
but the first one was 2012, and
Yeah.
so that one I ran kind of alone. And then last year, the previous year, I had been doing work with our friends from Varsity House and Business of Strength, and I said, I think I want to bring this back. I said the only way to do it is if you guys can help me because of how skilled they are with events, logistics, organizing, doing all the emails and list segmentation. I mean, how do you say, how deep and technical everything got compared to the first time I did it. Like I couldn't even, it infinitely much more difficult than 13 years ago.
Yeah. So, anyways, to put a bow on the intro, you've been a voice in the strength conditioning world for decades now, a coach for decades, a business owner for decades, and you're doing it while still teaching full time, right?
Yeah, strength coach position, which is a rare uh, full-time position in New Jersey. So probably the only way, unless New Jersey changes, they do this in like Iowa, Ohio, South Carolina, they'll hire a strength coach in a high school, but they don't have to be certified as a health and phys ed teacher. So luckily, having that background is what really, that was like the make or break factor, believe it or not whether I was a great strength coach or not.
It's
Which
just
is
whether you had a certification.
yes, which is like
Yeah.
most phys ed teachers don't know anything about strength and conditioning. I hate to admit
Right.
it.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of certifications, you've also had multiple certifications that you've put
Yes,
together,
2 certifications.
and also book author.
Crazy.
And
Man, I kind of did some stuff.
You've been around for a while, and you've done a lot of good things, and helped a lot of people along the way. Business mentor is also on the list, and I think that probably, I mean, we could talk for hours about your experiences, but I think for this audience is mostly young coaches, and experienced coaches, but coaches that are looking to kind of learn the game, not so much the X's and O's or as Joe calls them, the Dead Sea Scrolls of programming, which you have also an amazing passion
I
for
love that.
finding this Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yes.
In fact, I was just reading your email this morning about Tommy Kono and
Yes.
just
And John Grimmick,
John Grimmick, the
close to
legends of the
100
sport.
years ago.
It's just wild.
Yes.
And you digging out these magazines from the 60s, 70s, and so it's cool that I think you bring. I mean, especially now, there's so much of the influencer economy going on, and it seems like history is hard to come by anymore, or people that appreciate or understand where it evolved
Yeah.
from. And
Some
so
people are doing it, but they're doing it because it's like this thing that will get them more likes and views. Whereas I do it because I'm like, man, look how strong and look at the physiques they built when they had like the worst equipment, or they had to innovate. And all the equipment builders like York Barbell, even though Bob Hoffman, I've read so many stories of how crazy he was, but those guys at least lifted, they trained, sometimes you buy equipment and you're like, man, this just doesn't fit, doesn't go together, doesn't work.
Hmm.
This company, they're engineers. They didn't actually,
Hmm.
they're not into strength training. But those, John Grimmick being in the Olympics in the 30s and then being a bodybuilding champion in through the 40s, his strength and physique, it's so, to me, inspiring because um, I love the simplicity. Although it's interesting, Andrew, to see the gyms of today are really getting fancy. I mean,
Hmm.
the lighting, I don't even know how many millions go into a gym before they actually have a person walk through the doors. I can't wrap my head around that. So I'm still a true believer in, they call, the old school strength ways. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting to see how the gym industry is really transformed in the last 25. I mean, really, since you started yours, that was probably like the very early pre CrossFit kind of time.
Early days CrossFit.
Yeah, and then that seemed to open up this kind of box gym concept that opened up a lot of my parents own the traditional like racquetball club style gym where you had 5 or 6 racquetball courts, you have a
Yes.
conditioning room, you have some weights, but not a lot of people on it, and then tons of treadmills, kind of a format, and they're you know it's razor thin margins. People don't want to pay anything more than like $50 a month,
I didn't know
and they
your
want to
parents
have
owned one of those.
yeah, they want to have everybody expects classes and a pool
Yeah,
and this kind of thing. You're kind of competing with Lifetime Fitness, kind of a gym, but in the
correct.
last 20-25 years, it's really gone more towards micro gyms and boutique gyms, kind
Yes,
of
boutique now, like all this fancy stuff. What's interesting is down the
yeah.
street from where I grew up was a massive health and racket club. I'm pretty sure it's still there and has had
Yeah.
multiple owners, but it was in Woodbridge, New Jersey. It's called the Woodbridge Health and Racket Club, and they had everything you're talking about, from
Hmm.
tennis to racket to an indoor track. We're talking about the
Yeah.
80s.
Yep. Yep.
And because we were in that central, right on the cusp of North Jersey, and there was like an apartment area, there was pro wrestlers training there because
Hmm.
they would often take the train into New York City, Madison Square Garden, or to Boston. And of course, being near New York, that was very big. So I remember pro wrestlers training there.
Hmm.
And I mean, this place was buildings upon buildings. I can't
Hmm.
believe back then, like, wrapping my head around that. But they had
Just the
swimming
overhead.
pool
Yeah.
next to us, or next to that gym was a Jack LaLanne, and then it became
No.
Bally's. But Jack LaLanne gym was all chrome machines. I remember my dad used to go there, and every guy would always have like a towel wrapped around it. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was really cool. Out front, they had like the Atlas statue, the guy kneeling with the
Hmm.
globe over him, and it was massive. And so driving by was like so amazing. But yeah, been interesting to see this evolution of gyms. And I mean, at the pace we're going, I don't know what gyms are going to look like, but I know this. Um, I can't go in a direction that I can't wrap my head around. I can't
Yeah.
create a gym. Let's say the trend is you need a red light sauna, you need another
Hmm.
sauna, you need a cold plunge, you need this, you need that. I can't wrap my head around that. We are strength training, we are
Yeah.
strength and conditioning for athletes. That's what we do. And whenever you try to veer from that, or I've certainly tried here and there, it always, like, we always fail. I saw a
It's a
old
little bit like what
interview.
you were talking about, the when an engineer tries to build gym equipment.
Yeah.
If a strength coach tries to become a sauna expert, it unless that's part of their routine, I think that
Yep.
person probably pulls it off. But if you're just focused on old school strength and that's kind of your expertise, then I think that shows
You
through
will
in the culture that you
attract,
create. Hmm.
you'll know who you're speaking to.
Right.
You'll attract the people that you're supposed to serve.
Right.
And like a couple of years back, I don't know how many years ago it was. It may have been like early COVID, before COVID. I was get frustrated with athletes that would always quit in season. Their parents would quit, and now it's even worse. But I remember I was like, man, it's amazing how people will quit. And so my buddy who owns a gym, athletes, he started training adults. He's like, dude, why don't you train adults? You have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday group, a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and you do like whatever, a 7 a.m. or a 9 a.m. I'm like, no way. I ain't training adults. I'm not selling out. I ain't doing that. I had a couple choice words for it. He's like, dude, what if there's 10 adults in each group? They pay you, $250 a month. That's another $5,000 a month. That's 60 grand a year. I'm like, I don't care, dude. It could be a million. I said, I ain't doing that shit. And then I got a little bit older, and now I'm 50. And now I'm like, I want to train adults. I want men to be strong. I know that women have to be strong, because if they don't get strong now, then as you know, you age quickly, you're at greater risk of injury. And now I want to do it. And of course, we're doing it. But it's funny that 7, 8 years ago, I'm telling my friend, no way, that's a sellout. And I couldn't do it until I believed in it.
Oh, that's so interesting. I mean, that ties together like three challenges of being a business owner, especially as a coach, that I'm curious what your perspective is on the fact that we just talked about how the market changes, the culture changes, you change. How do you navigate running a business when there's so much change happening and the pace of change
Yes.
seems to be accelerating? Is like, how do you kind of steer the ship of the business through all of that? And you've done it probably longer than most. Gym owners don't tend to last 2.5 decades, and
Yeah.
so, like, how do you navigate that? How do you know when it's the trend? Like at Underground Strength Con, there was a bunch of presentations about change, embracing the change, and adopting different
And letting go,
strategies,
letting
and
go of
sometimes
what you
letting
used to
go.
do.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like you talked about, you got to be true to yourself
Yes.
and authentic. Or I hate to use the buzzword there, but how do you navigate that?
So if I give people like the landscape, I started the business in '02, and that was from my parents' garage backyard. 2003, bought a house, revamped the 2-car garage so it looked like a professional studio, painted beautiful, commercial equipment, and then 2007 rented my first warehouse. And so I think the ticket has always been for me, and I feel like this will help those listening and watching. When you deny your true self, it will always like punch you in the face. And so I try to minimize looking at what other people do. I might study or not study, I might take a peek at what some of the local other gym owners are doing, maybe to look at schedules, look at pricing, look to see what they're offering that maybe gives them the advantage over us. But Andrew, when I look too much at other people, it stifles my creativity because I begin to doubt what I'm doing. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe our schedule shouldn't be this. Maybe we shouldn't be strength training. Oh, maybe our Instagram shouldn't show people lifting heavy. That's intimidating people. Then you become like this creature, you send the creature of doubt into your brain. And so that's why I don't follow like I try not to. I don't follow people that I feel I'm going to look at their work and think maybe I should do that. And I think everybody has those inner doubts. And I think the best way is, stay. How do you stay true to yourself? Well, if I put a gun to your head, what are you going to do? What's going to be your style of training that is going to deliver results, not what people like. And just like what I said earlier, I feel like some people created these old school strength YouTube channels. Some people don't even lift, but they came across a pile of magazines. They checked the algorithm. They saw that, oh man, these videos could gain a lot of traction. I could get some good YouTube thumbnails. I share it because if I was to turn this around, I've got filing cabinets filled with old magazines and books, and I have bookshelves that are broken. They're breaking. I need like a carpenter to build me some heavy duty bookshelves. Why? Because I actually read, love, and live that old school strength, those methods. I love the nutrition. I love the stories. I even love the gyms from those decades ago. And then even like John Grimmick, 1930s, that's close to 100 years ago. So, number one, you know, stop looking at what everybody else is doing. What do you believe in? Because you must convey that message to people.
Mm.
So, if you were standing in front of a crowded room and you had to talk about the thing you're passionate about, what would you talk about? Is it what's in your head, or is it what John Smith and Susie Smith, gym owner down the road, are doing?
Mm.
I know what our athletes need to get strong, tough, fast, and how to win more. I know what our adult men and women need to get strong, build confidence, feel invigorated during the day, and to inspire their family. I know exactly what they need. And I'm not going to BS it and go outside of it. And I think people lose their path when they look at everybody else. And that's
Mm.
the problem with scrolling through your phone. You lose what you're about, you lose your creativity.
What do you notice is the difference between the content? I mean, you could argue that these magazines that you do like are sort of like the social media of that era, right? In a
Yes.
sense. What do you see as the difference between that content and the content that comes out today? And
Yeah, today you don't have to wait. Like if I want to see what Andrew is eating for breakfast, I'm just going to see it every day on your story on Instagram. But if I wanted to see what John Grimmick was eating, I had to wait till next month's magazine to arrive in the mail. And I knew when the postman, when the mailman was coming, he always arriving at 2:30. I'm going to wait outside at 2:20, 2:25. So that created, or that left a lot to your imagination.
mm,
Scrolling and consuming takes you away from being a creator. Now, let's say I read an article about John Grimmick, and we're recording this in December, but it's December 1935. Well, John Grimmick, they share this article and talks about training his chest, and it's like a high volume workout. Then my imagination starts to wonder, oh man, is next month going to be his leg workout? What does John Grimmick do? Then I get out a sheet of paper and I start writing
mm,
possible John Grimmick workouts. Today, oh, I'm going to go on Chat GPT, give me 10 John Grimmick workouts.
mm,
People have become consumers and they're less creative. And this is
mm,
why, like when we have interns at the underground, when they have to write workouts up and then present them to us, I say it cannot be on your phone or on the computer. You have to get a notebook. You got to get me a notebook, and you have to write day one, day two, day three. What are the modifications? Because when you're drawing and writing, your creative mind is working that much more. And so my buddy said this also. He's about 10 years older than me. He was a college strength coach, football player. He would read books about like his favorite football players, and he's like, you always had to wait for the next article or possibly a photo in a magazine that might show one meal or might show them, you know, three photos of them training, and then you had to conjure up the story in your head about what they did. And I believe that's why we saw a lot of creatives back then. They
mm,
were, it was really cool. And so today I feel like there's a lot of me too,
mm,
because everybody's just watching what everybody else is doing. Is this the right thing for the algorithm? Is this
mm,
what people want to hear? And I've fallen in that trap. And whenever
yeah.
I do it, I'm like, oh my God, this stinks. Like when I make a video and I send it to an editor and it's got B-roll and text on the bottom, it gets
Mm,
like no views. I'm like, what is this dumb game? And I remember Naval Ravikant saying, he was on a Tim Ferriss podcast. He's like, I don't know if he said the best way or the only way, one of them. I think he said the only way to win the game is to not play the game. And I love that. Yeah, I thought that
He's
was
got
like
some great
perfect.
quotes.
Yes, very
Uh,
quotable.
and some of like I remember when I came across him. He was in this stretch of videos. I'm guessing he did it all in one night or maybe a couple of nights, but it was just like him in this dark room lit by a candle, just like talking about whatever he was thinking
Yeah.
about. And he must have cut like 200 videos from that thing because they just kept popping up for a few months. But
He spoke about
uh,
that kind of work schedule of like not, he said like the future of work is not to go straight through, but to
mm,
kind of almost periodize your work like strength
hmm
training, have these highs and lows and ebb and flow.
yeah,
And I think if you're always like, it's hard for me, I write every morning and then I look back and I'm like, damn, I really should take a break from sending an email and just every morning, instead of writing an email, every morning I should be working to finish my next book.
mm,
You know, you only have like so much creative energy, I feel
right.
sometimes.
It's interesting because you know what's become popular. It seems in the last at least 10 or 15 years are activities where you force yourself to intentionally have that space you're describing
Yes.
that we used to just have built into the day. I think about it with my daughter all the time. I'm like, I asked her one time, do you ever feel bored? And she's like, she thought about it and she's like, no, not really. I'm like, I'm pretty sure most of my childhood time I felt bored, or at least like there'd
Yeah.
be like, or at least maybe that's just my memory. I'm exaggerating, but you know,
And you're a
if
younger
that
guy.
that
You're in your
feeling,
30s?
47.
Oh, you're 47. I thought you
Yeah,
were
yeah.
like
I
late 30s.
appreciate that, man. I'm
You
gonna
look
take that
like a
for a
young kid, as they said in the Jerky Boys, but nobody even would know the Jerky Boys who's listening if they're young.
but then you like it would inspire me. The boredom would inspire me to come up with some imaginary game. I remember going down to the playground, and pretending like I was in the, uh, you know, last 10 seconds of a game and I'm Michael Jordan or something, trying to play against my
Yeah.
imaginary friends or something on the tabletop.
Training on your own. Imagine
But
that.
now you have to go be intentional about saying, okay, now I'm going to have meditation. Somebody might call it that. Somebody might call it journaling. Somebody might call it, like building breaks into your day. But it's like you have to force yourself to not do stuff intentionally.
Yeah. I mean, I have a friend that owns a bunch of, they call it like quick service restaurants, QSRs, like Taco Bells and stuff
Mm.
like that, and 7-Elevens and Dunkin' Donuts. And he says, I actually had came across, I can't remember who it was, but they spoke about having two phones. You have your work phone, which is likely your iPhone, your smartphone, and then you have this other phone that only like your significant other, your family gets, and it's a flip phone. You can't text. It's no
Mm.
connection to the internet. It's only phone call. And
Wow.
so he says if I'm not between certain hours, his work phone is on like do not disturb. It's in a lockbox. And then ironically, he had told me about it a week ago. A couple days ago, I think I came across somebody who maybe came up with that concept. But I could imagine how creative people could get if they had less time scrolling and consuming. You know, the
Yeah.
internet has obviously been powerful, right? You guys have created Turnkey Coach. You could train people from anywhere in the world, which
Hmm.
back in the day, I'd have to go into the back of the magazine
Yeah.
and find Andrew's deadlift course, and I would have to mail you a check, and you would mail me back a little booklet,
Yep.
and I'd
Yep.
be waiting for these things. So there was a lot of course, to me, magic to that. But now we
Hmm.
have the speed, we have technology, which allows us to really create much faster. But I think the people who are winning in the creative world, they are consuming less.
Mm.
They're able to discipline their focus,
Mm.
and I think if you own a gym or
But
you're coaching people, there's a lot to be said about focus. Like, what do you stand for? What
mhm.
are you about? For me, I've always said it's been a blessing and a curse. When I started coaching, I learned from Ryan Lee, and Ryan Lee knew that back then it was predominantly called personal training. It was the early 2000s. He knew that personal trainers had massive burnout, that they would be coaching people usually from like 6 a.m. until 9 or 10 a.m. Then they maybe had some sort of a break in the morning, in the mid afternoon, and then they'd be coaching after work. Back in the day, people did do a lot more 9 to 5. He's like, so you're coaching from 5:30 till 9 p.m. at night. He's like, but you're driving to people's houses, and then you're on your way to Andrew's house, and 15 minutes before he calls you and cancels because
Mm-hmm.
he forgot he had something going on. So now you're just sitting around in your car. So he said, why not do 4 hours of in-person training back to back, and then spend the other 4 hours online and impact people all around the world? And I said, man, that sounds great, because technically I am coaching during the day. I was teaching phys ed, and then I would coach wrestling. And I was like, I'll spend a couple hours every day working on my online business. And I think the first person who bought my ebook was somewhere in the UK, because it was off of like a interview I did from a website called like Shoot Fighting UK. And I remember that. So that was where I came up with it. But now what we're seeing is the people who are really winning. I mean, some people split their time. I saw you post something, I think, on your Instagram, um, where somebody got busy, and then some of those people were like, hey, I'm also getting busy. My work schedule changed, or I used to have these little kids, but now my kids got to go to dance and soccer and
Yeah.
basketball, and I'm going to have to train at home. And rather than saying, okay, bye, you say, hey, that's all right. I'll just train you through turnkey coach, and we're going to
Yep.
continue working together in another capacity. And so, being able to kind of stay on that path has been powerful. For
Mhm.
me, I have to get better at consolidating what I do online. And so I said earlier, like, what if somebody had a gun to your head? How would you tell people to train? I was thinking about this with my online business. I was like, man, if somebody had a gun to my head and said, are you going to train? Are you going to teach dads how to be strong online? Or are you going to be doing your certification and this and that? And
Mhm.
I said, man, I think, like, not think, I was like, I know dads got to be strong. And if I could get dads strong, they're going to inspire their kids. And
Mhm.
I could certify these dads and get them to start training their own kids.
Mhm.
And I said, man, I think just got to go all in for online, just working with men and dads, really.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
the Dad Strong template that you just I think you had it in that email to this morning that I was reading.
Short workouts,
Yeah.
you're busy,
Yep.
simple.
Yep.
I mean, I would do it. My son has a landscaping business and kind of took over the garage, but I think I could sneak in a barbell and store it vertically, and my wife won't even know until they hear the deadlifting hitting the floor.
Yeah, the thud.
Yeah.
There's a neighborhood kid that a high school kid that comes over. He's been using my garage gym for the last few
Oh, that's
years, and
great.
he just has my key card. I coached him up to the point where I was comfortable with him training in there and like not abusing my equipment and
Yeah.
stuff. And um, yeah, he doesn't even tell me when he's coming over anymore. I just hear the deadlifts start landing. And it's like the
Hells
whole
yeah.
house starts shaking. I'm like, nice, Ace is
That's
over.
great.
But it's funny because this is a bit of a non sequitur, but a lot of times people complain about like kids these days, but I've had it's like one kid at all time in the neighborhood, usually using my garage gym, and he comes over, he never misses a workout, trains his butt off. He trains all season. He plays year round soccer, because everything's year round now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But it, it is interesting how I think strength training still speaks to people on some sort of visceral level, and it just like some people just get it and they lock in and they see the benefit. They are motivated to do it, and that especially young men and I think dads. I think that's a pretty solid market to focus on because it just transforms their life. It's not just
It's,
muscles and
yeah.
Rambo or anything. It really is
They
transformative.
feel it. They feel it deeper.
Yes.
I actually said to a coach, I showed this one kid is in my strength class, and he was cut from a team. So he doesn't even go out for the sports anymore. He's not fast, he's slow, but like he used to dumbbell bench 10s and 15s. And last week I saw him barbell bench 135 for a triple. And he gets off the bench, he's like, ah. And then today I
Hmm.
saw him squatting 175. And I was like, Jackson's the king. Like I'm like, and I told my buddy, my buddy's coach, I go, dude, I impact those kids a lot more than a kid who's in a sport, who's talented and
Hmm.
had the foundation. And so I tell this kid, I was like, "What music you want? You want some Metallica?" He's like, "Metallica sounds right." But those kids, it changes their life. And there's a
Hmm.
lot of men who have not done any strength training. They didn't do it in high school, and now they got to start because they are the ones that will inspire their own children. That's really the truth behind it. And that's why I connect so much with those old uh, strength magazines because I love the advertisements. You know, the 98-pound weakling, or some of the ads were so unique, like put dynamite in your muscles, and it was like somebody's bicep, but it looked like a stick of dynamite
Yeah.
exploding. I loved how it was something so like creative. Whereas today, it's like grow 18-inch arms and get a six pack. It's all this like surface stuff. Whereas I
Hmm.
feel like in those decades earlier, there was something deep within us that we wanted to be strong.
Hmm.
And I think also, of course, like the movies today, they're not like
Yeah.
crazy inspiring. You mentioned Rambo.
Yeah.
Those movies really inspired us
Yeah.
since day one when they came out in the 80s. They're still inspiring us. And so the tough thing though about men and dads is dads are always taking care of everybody else, so they are the first ones to say, I'm not gonna do it. Like if we have new meals cooked, right, new chicken, new this, new that, I'm eating the older stuff, and my wife's like, why don't you eat what I just made? And I'm like, because that's for the kids. I'm eating the older stuff, and it sounds so like caveman-esque, but that's
Just
I always,
instincts. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, I'm a dad. I'm not gonna eat what's brand the meal just for today. I don't want my kids eating the meal from 2 to 3 days ago. They're gonna eat today.
Mm.
And so men will be, hey, we're busy. I just got to stop. Whereas women tend to keep it going. They
Hmm.
understand, they have also a little more focus on what they look like. They're more
Hmm.
in tune with how that makes them feel. Men lose a little bit of that, how they look. But I know that when they feel strong because they're
Hmm.
moving weight and doing hard shit, it's very inspiring for them.
Yeah.
And so again, like I know that there could be more money if I was trying to train women, but that's not my forte.
Hmm.
When somebody's uh, talking to me, I can easily talk about dads. That's what I live, and so
Hmm.
that's what excites me and fires me up. And so, no sense in ever pretending that you're an expert in an area that you're not, because it'll never work.
How do you mentor or coach somebody who's starting out, or maybe they don't know yet who that person is for them,
Yep,
or maybe and a new coach has to go through a period of time where they're not an expert,
that's right.
and so you're in a little bit of this catch 22 starting out where there's this imposter syndrome that people talk about.
Yeah,
You
I
got to put
still
yourself
feel
up.
it.
You got to start coaching at some
That's right.
point. But you don't know. You might not know what you believe in, or you
That's
might
right.
not.
I agree.
How do you coach people to get into that?
I always say step one is an intern has to train with us.
Yeah.
You have to train.
Yeah.
So we have in the afternoon and evening 3 groups. So they have to shadow the first two, and then they train the last group of the day. So you're a little bit tired, and you're going to train with somebody new each time. So today you're going to train with a high school off-season athlete. Tomorrow, high school in season. Next day, you're going to train with one of the middle school girls. Next day, you're going to train with one of the athletes who has a broken hand and can't
Hmm.
train with the other arm. And you're going to learn all of these different kind of aspects. And then they start learning what excites them. Oh, I really like training the middle school kids, or I really like when we're doing the strength training, or I like doing the
Yeah.
speed and the game speed stuff. So it happens, it evolves. And then with regards to not being an expert, Like to this day, I understand I am an expert. I've been coaching. My first coaching job was 1995, but I never say I'm an expert. I have the black belt.
Mm.
I still go white belt mentality. I'm still listening. I'm still trying to learn. But the a little bit sad, not totally sad, a little bit disappointing is people don't really understand how great somebody could be as a coach. They're more about what is my relationship with this person? Do I have fun when I am getting coached by Andrew? Are the people around me fun? Do I like Andrew? And that's why I said at Underground Strength Con, we train a kid, he does the free trial, he or she goes back to the car, and they're
Right.
not like, did Zach do the conjugate method or linear periodization?
Right.
Because
Right.
if he didn't, they don't know that. They say, how was it? Did you have fun? Do you like him? Do you want to go back?
Hmm.
That's it. Same thing with our adults in the morning. When there's more people in there and the vibe is pumping and there's conversations, I tell my coaches, I go, guys, we're great at coaching, but the reality is they want a great experience. They want to talk. They want to, they're just dropped off 3 kids at school. They made breakfast and lunch and just friggin' went crazy. Now it's their time. They're
Hmm.
not so worried about the squat being 2 inches too high.
Hmm.
They're more focused on decompressing, de-stressing, feeling good, and having a little social time.
Yeah.
They don't know anything about our program design, and yet I'm a big believer in program design and being great at coaching, and I still am. We send videos to our group chat, and I might say, listen, when Andrew was doing those back extensions, I noticed one foot was turned out and this foot was out wider. That stuff counts. And it will count when you say to your client, Susie, I want you to move your left foot out 1 inch and straighten out your feet. And
Hmm.
they pay attention to that. My good friend, Chris Smith, Quattro Deuce, him and his wife own a gym in Alexandria. And they also own 2 coffee shops. But he was telling me about like this thing called 7 touches in a class. And he's
Hmm.
not touching you, high fiving you, moving your arms where the bar, but you're doing snatches and here's where your elbows are. It could be like you said you have a daughter, right? And
Hmm.
what are they in sports? You said or dance or what are they?
No, not at the moment. She likes to lift. She's starting to lift. So,
So one of those touches would be Andrew.
yeah.
How's your daughter's deadlift going?
Yep. Yep.
Andrew, what are you guys doing for Christmas with the family? Andrew, I want you to drop your butt 1 inch, arch your chest up a little bit on that squat. Those are the touches, and I've always said to my coaches, some of those touches are going to be corrective technique feedback, but they can't all be corrective technique feedback. You're going to like destroy the person.
Yep.
Other of them have to be motivational, and other of them have to be like nothing to do with training. They have to
Hmm.
do with school, life, work, family, stuff like that. And that's kind of like this umbrella of coaching, or like Dan Goodman and I have been talking about marketing, and he said the marketing is like a wheel. It's like a wheel, a tire, a bike tire with spokes. It's like got a lot of spokes. It's like you got to have a bunch of spokes going on with the marketing machine, and that's coaching. The coaching can't have one spoke. It's got
Hmm.
to have a lot. And I never feel like I have that figured out. I'm always like, could have done less of this, more of that. Should have done this, should have done that, and then I try to make it better in the next group. Tough thing for me is coaching at a high school is not the same kind of kids I have at the underground.
Hmm.
The underground, we're getting kids that are showing up after practice,
Hmm.
far after school, Saturday morning, really trying to get better, really motivated. Then at the public school, you have that, you have something in the middle, and then you have people at the very bottom who don't care about getting better, about winning, about being part of a team. They don't care about the culture, and that's tough because you feel like, man, do I suck that I
Hmm.
can't impact this athlete? And so that's coaching. It has a lot of ups and downs.
Oh, I love the advice that, to somebody, if they don't have the thing that they believe in or the person that they know they love to work with, to go out and find a mentor that you could study under, essentially, like
Yes.
um, internship program or
Yeah.
what
Apprentice.
apprenticeship. Yeah, exactly. Um, and do that until you. I would recommend, and I think has been my experience both professionally and as a coach, um, that there's some period of time. I tend to find my experience has been it's somewhere around 4 to 5 years of being in that type of a position. Doesn't have to be that, I'm not saying you have to be doing something for 5 years before you, you know, go to start coaching. We actually tell people to start coaching now, but I find that being very focused and deep into working on whether it's a new job or a new, or like when I started barbell training, it was right around consistently that 5 to 6 year point where there would be something changed where I suddenly had an opinion
Mm.
about the way things should be. And I didn't, not that I was 100% right or that I was, I wasn't putting on an expert kind of belt, but it was like I had a vision for what I wanted to do and how things should be. And that always evolves and continues to grow.
Yes.
But that feeling when you were talking about having a sense of um, the way things should be is that just really resonates with me. And I think that's something that I really value and respect about what you do with like the Underground Strength Con is that finding mentors and finding um, community of like-minded people where there might be ways you can learn from other people, and
Yes.
find mentors to grow and whether you're day one or day 25. I mean, that at Landon Around Strength Con, there were people taking notes in the front row who'd been coaching for like 50 years.
Oh, well, didn't Brian Koppelman said somebody asked him, "Hey, what
Yeah.
keeps you going? You know, you're 59. You've I'm always I always feel bad that mix this up. I don't know if he's a director and an actor. I don't know. The producer is
He's
something
all of it.
else.
He's like
He's all
producer,
of it.
writer, and actor. He was an
Yes,
actor.
the
I
writer.
recognized him from The Bear, as the
Yeah, I've
computer.
never seen The Bear, but I've seen
Yeah,
Ocean's 13.
right.
I've
Which I think he
seen
produced. And
Rounders, and
hmm
of course Billions. But he said, I'm curious, man. He's like,
yeah,
I'm really excited to be here. He's like, I'm actually very intrigued by this fitness industry and how you guys all like help each other and you're so
yeah,
open to helping. And that, yeah, people were asking him like, what they asked him in multiple ways these different questions, and it kept circling back to, I'm curious to learn and get better. And
hmm
also, you mentioned this apprenticeship and getting mentored. You know, when I started, I paid for all
hmm
of that to
hmm
access anybody's information. There, everything was pay. You want to get into their private forum, you're going to pay. But luckily, like thinking of Matt Wiedemer, he was one of the speakers, and Matt has 3 gyms, and I think I can't remember the price. I don't want to mention it, but it was over 6 figures a month. And think about it: who was his first real mentor was Buddy Morris when he worked for the Cleveland Browns, and then Louis Simmons. It's like, and he's like, hey, you still have to lift and train and compete and keep getting better. And Matt had just turned, I'm not sure if he just turned 49 or 47. He's up there around our age.
hmm
And I texted him a couple days ago. He's like, I'm trying to get ready for the Arnold. You know, whatever the powerlifting, I don't know what the
Nice.
powerlifting meet is there, but still seeking
Yep.
more and better. And, you know, if you're not curious, if you're not hungry to learn, you'll hit a wall. And it's okay when you're coaching people to pivot. You know, Joe DeSena says that a lot. He's like, we don't really quit something. He's like, we might be going, it's not working, or it's proven not to be a good concept or a good business model. We're
Mm.
going to pivot. We're going to try
Right.
something different. We're not, or sometimes you have to stop doing something. But he's like, I just like to say you're pivoting, kind of like with my
Mm.
business. I pivoted. We've added these adult groups to make a bigger impact on our community directly and indirectly, because when you impact adults you impact that whole family, and it's a greater it impacts the business. It allows me to bring coaches in who could get paid more because we're making more money.
Right.
So it's interesting, as I've gotten older, I think a lot about collaboration and winning
Mm.
with people in a collaborative way rather than competing against them. And in
Mm.
my younger years, everything was competing, and if I work with this person, maybe this doesn't happen, or how much do I get? Um, I don't even worry about the amount of money we are going to make from Underground Strength Con. And I didn't even realize that, but Matt Wiedemer was like, dude, I don't think I've never been around somebody like you who wants to see everybody win. And he's like, I don't think people know how much impact you've made on the industry. And maybe that's the thing. I don't like, I get feel very awkward when somebody introduces me. I love all these compliments. It's very humbling, but I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm that guy. I'm still just trying to make it happen, but I'm in my own basement, not my mom's,
Mm.
not my mom's basement anymore,
Hey,
and
that's a
still
major
just try.
major
Yeah,
upgrade.
that's so funny. I didn't
And you
realize
have
I'm the first, I'm the first real guy, real basement coach.
internet keyboard.
So funny.
That's who they've been talking about all these years.
That was great.
Oh man, it's yeah, you've probably impacted more people than you realize. You know that
Probably.
the content that you put out there that was just genuine passion. I think people resonate with that, and um, I think it's pretty cool that you've been able to stay focused in that way and still and not become cynical about. I mean,
Sometimes I do.
I'm sure there's some
Certainly,
cynicism.
sometimes I get jaded and I
Yeah.
wish it was this way and yada yada. But
Mm.
Craig Ballantyne told me, and I've done business coaching with Craig on and off for a long time. So he's like, Zach, if there was no internet, you would be in your town standing on top of some like park bench shouting how to get strong. He's like,
Yeah.
so whether your YouTube videos are getting 10 views or 10,000 views, he's like, I don't really think you have a choice. It's what you do, it's who you are.
Mm.
And when he said that, it made me think of the stories I read about the mighty Adam. There's a great book on him. It's called like The Life and Times of Joseph Greenstein. I think that was his last name. But he was in oh, what do they call it? It's in New York. Of course, I'm forgetting the name. Uh, dang it. It was like the Venice Beach of the East Coast, and he would
Hmm.
go like in the streets. Oh, Coney Island.
Oh
Coney
yeah.
Island was like the beach, nothing like Venice Beach, certainly not as
Yeah.
clean or as nice. But they had, the circus strongman, and that's what he was. And he would get up on this stoop and he would talk about nutrition and homemade soaps and homemade remedies and how to make your hair strong and make your body strong. And he would get out there like kind of shouting. I was like, man, that's kind of I think what I would be doing if I didn't have the internet. I'd be gathering outdoors and talking about ways to get strong. And
Yeah. Find
Craig
whatever
was right.
the loudest megaphone was next to the internet.
Yeah, yeah. And I think
Well,
something to be said about that, Andrew, is there's a lot of power to doing that stuff in person.
mhm.
But what if you're shy and don't like doing that stuff? And what if you feel really good online? Then you should lean into what is your strength and
Mm.
and really embrace it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a balance. I love the idea of, and I think more coaches would benefit from shifting their perspective from what do I have to say to almost like a responsibility to say what they think, both
Yeah,
because it's a good mental exercise, I think, to practice organizing your thoughts and speaking them. And
Yes.
then also, you don't know who's out there that might benefit from hearing your perspective or your
Never
thoughts.
know.
And uh, yes, I think using the platforms that we have available is required now. I mean, for a business, and I've been going to more events over the last couple of years, mostly because of Turnkey Coach. But I feel more motivated to and keep that as part of my life, even if I'm not
It's
doing
exciting,
the events, because there's
invigorating.
just something different. Yeah, I think you build a different relationship when you're able to stand next to somebody and actually, have a real conversation in person. I think it's important that we get out and do that.
Yeah,
Um,
people are
and here
get
I am, the online
excited.
coach guy. Like,
Yeah, but I was just thinking, I didn't realize this. Like, you guys get a booth at the Arnold, right?
we did this year. We're debating about whether we're going to do that in 2026. But
Okay,
that was
so
our big first. Actually, businesses or Underground Strength Con last year was the first event that the brand
yeah,
did. Then we did. We went to the Arnold. We went
Arnold
to the
and
Real Coaches Summit,
in
and then
Austin. How was that?
no, that one was in Vegas
Oh, is it? But those
with
guys.
Orion.
Oh,
Yeah,
who runs that?
Orion
Oh,
with
that was the.
Orion. Yeah,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes, yes,
that's where I connected with him. I know.
yes.
And then Underground Strength Con and Business of Strength events. We're now partnering with Joe and those
Yes.
guys. So
Good.
um, and the big thing, especially because we're predominantly an online coaching company, being able to get to meet more gym owners and people that are either doing all in person or hybrid helps me learn a ton about how to make the software more effective for the gym
Yeah.
owner, how to get the right pricing, what features matter, because it's a different world. But then also you just meet so many interesting people that again just have, especially I think what resonated with us the most with the Underground Strength Con was that we just had a lot of shared values, and obviously passionate about strength. And I think that there's just something that people that value strength, I think, are able to connect on some kind of deeper level, because
Yep.
we appreciate that transformation.
Oh yeah.
And we are genuinely passionate about helping people get stronger to improve the quality of their life. That's the real goal. Yes, we need to make money and we want to grow a business, but that the I could do that in many other industries. The reason I'm doing this one is because I believe in the power of that transformation, and it's cool to find other people out there that are doing that as well.
Yeah. The conversations in person, they're always. I feel like they're a little bit deeper when we're on
Mm-hmm.
a call, a Zoom
Mm-hmm.
call, a phone call. It's going to end. Hey, I got this next person I'm speaking to in 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We will. I have like a a stack of these like gift cards. I got to give them out, but I bought $200 worth of gift cards from a local coffee shop. I already gave $100 away, and then I have a gift card behind their register, and I say, if I'm coming in with my team or meeting somebody, just ding that gift card, and we'll hold our meetings outside of the gym or at this. I met up with a lady that owns a boutique clothing store in town on Saturday, and it was just 15 minutes, but we didn't say, hey, this is ending in 15 minutes. But having conversations in person tend to like flourish a little bit more. So
Mm-hmm.
not only did we talk about, hey, listen, I'm training adults who would probably love to come into your store. So let me know anytime you have something, an event going on, I could share the message. And then we started talking about marketing, and she mentioned Cornell. Oh, I love Cornell. And then she mentions West Point. My husband went to West Point, and
Mm-hmm.
now I'm going to be talking with her husband. And I feel like when you're in person, there's a lot of flow to those conversations. And
Yeah.
so you going out to these events, you're getting some deeper conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the phone and this stuff could be a little bit limited. And
Yep.
so I'm a hybrid person. Like, why do I
Mm-hmm.
want online? Especially now I'm 50, because I want to be able to go in a few years. I want, let's say 5 years I'm done working at the school. What if I'm like the typical Jersey people who go down south for half a year? I want to be down there and I
Right.
want to be able to do my online business. And then when I come back, I could enter a little bit more of the brick and mortar. And so those are skills that I think from a strength coach standpoint, from a worldly business standpoint, it's very powerful to be able to have that. Dan Kennedy always said one is the worst number in business. One employee, one way to collect money, one way to make money, one marketing method, right? Like people who went all in on Google ads, that was no good. And then people went all in on Facebook and something happened with Facebook, or I only train people in person. Then COVID happened. When COVID happened, I was like, dude, this is easy. I've been training people online since 20 years already. I got no problems with this. So I always kept that in mind when he said one is the worst number in business.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, we are almost at an hour already, and I know you got a lot to go. You got a family pinging your phone like crazy. I would be surprised if people don't know how to find you. But what would be the best place for people to go to get your newsletter or find you
Yeah.
on social media?
Strong Life Podcast. Got a lot of episodes. I'm on 530 something. And then if you try to type in my name, Zach Even-Esh, you'll come to my YouTube, my blog. I encourage people on my blog, use the search function. So whatever you want to look for. I got a son who plays football. Type in football strength. I have a shoulder injury. Type in shoulder health. I am over 40. Type in over 40. And we've got articles, videos, podcasts, a lot of free stuff. And yeah, my newsletter is on the website, but zachstrength.com, ZACH strength.com. And I try to send one out almost every morning and try to keep it to like a 2 or 3 minute read. I hope it's 2 to 3 minutes. I keep it kind of short.
Awesome. And when's the next book coming out? You said
Well, see, that's another thing. My plan was finishing it before the new year, and here I am. I'm like, man, I should probably skip a couple of morning newsletters and put a stamp on this book and shut it down. And otherwise, the book will end up being too long.
2026. Let's.
Yeah, I would definitely say within the first 3 months, I should get that done.
Awesome, Zach. Thank you so much for
thank you, Andrew.
And for those that are interested in learning how to incorporate either online or hybrid coaching into your gym or your business, of course, we are sponsored by Turnkey Coach, and I'd be remiss if I didn't at least offer to schedule a discovery call with you. If you go to www.turnkey.coach/BOC call, you can schedule a call with me or Mac, and we'll walk through your business and see how Turnkey Coach could be a fit. Thank you again for those that tuned in, and we'll see you again next week on the Business of Coaching Workshop. And now if I can just figure out how to stop recording. There we go. This is going to